So I'm going to be speaking about education today and what the current state of it is in America, kind of. So I'm going to start the video. So this video kind of said that education is broken, and that if we don't do anything, then we're all going to kind of fail. But this isn't really the reality that we're living in right now. 96% of the people in this room are going to graduate high school and go off to college. 96% of us are proficient in math, in English, in reading. The average SAT scores between all of us are an 1,800. Out of all of the 95% of the AP tests that we take, we get a 3 or a higher. This is really, really high scores, but it's way higher than the norm in even our area. Let's go 20 miles away. In our county, in Chester County, is Coatesville. They have a 1,300 average on their SAT scores. So what are some of the problems that we have compared to the problems that schools like Coatesville or schools like the schools in Philadelphia are having? Well, for one, we all have too much homework. Who here has ever complained that they've had too much homework? Raise your hands. Yeah? I mean, a lot of us stay up late. We stay up till midnight studying, doing homework. Well, in schools like this, they have no homework, which is even worse. Oh, you're saying, oh my God, I love no homework. That would be amazing, right? No, it's not amazing. Because here's the problem. When you go to school and you learn about whatever you're learning about, you go home and do homework, that strengthens the ideas that you learned about that day. You're getting double the time of the education that you spend in school at home. And by doing that, you're getting twice the education. When these kids aren't even getting the kind of education we're getting in school, and they go home and they don't have this kind of homework, that they're failing even worse than 50% of what we're doing. So another problem that we may have is we have a lot of after-school activities. Who here has ever stayed after school past 6 o'clock? A lot of you. And you get home and you say, okay, maybe I have 5 hours of homework. And, well, I can't do anything about that. I stay up late, I'm tired the next day. Well, guess what? These schools have no after-school activities whatsoever. You go into schools like Philadelphia, back in June of last year, almost 80% of the schools in Philadelphia cut out every single after-school activity. They have no sports, no music, no art, nothing. They close their schools maybe 20 minutes after their school day ends and they go home. And that's it. Here we may have some flawed grade reflection. Some of our teachers may curve our tests a little bit differently than others. Or maybe there's one teacher that makes easier tests than others in the same course. Well, the problem with this is not even near as severe as the problem in some of these schools. They have no grade reflection whatsoever. I'm going to use a hypothetical here. If I was a second grade student in the Philadelphia School District, and we're learning about an addition concept in math class, and I just can't get it. Guess what? There's no teacher that's going to help me because there is no help one-on-one with teacher to students. The thing is, no one wants to fail a second grader, so they're going to be pushed on to third grade. But in third grade, they're going to be learning a new concept in math that is built upon the concept that they didn't understand to begin with. So they're not going to understand that. And by fifth grade, they're going to be in the same place. They're going to be at that second grade math level. And this just keeps going on because they keep pushing, and the schools don't reflect the actual grades. They don't fail their classes. They may get B's or A's, which, hey, that might be a good thing. But by the time they get to high school, they understand nothing. And they're pushed back, and they're in algebra, and they can't even do 4 times 4. Now, this can be a great representation of all of this is kind of how our standardized tests work here. Take the SATs or the ACTs. How many of you have gotten tutored for a standardized test? Pretty much everybody. There are very few people here that don't have the money or the resources to get tutored or buy review books. Well, most students in underprivileged and urban areas don't have that money. Some of them don't even have money to pay for the admission price to get into the test. It's a $35 admission price. So what the College Board does is they would fund the $35 to the student that takes the test. But the thing is, they only fund it twice. A student who doesn't get a review book or can't get a tutor for the SATs, they get the $35 from the College Board and they take it twice. That's it. They don't get more than that. So it's a very large barrier for a lot of these students that they can't pass, and it's actually a very big factor into dropping out of a lot of high schools. Now, a big problem with this is the money concept. In suburban areas, we all have the money to buy review books and to go and get tutored. And we spend thousands and thousands of dollars. While these kids, 30% of the children that are enrolled in the Philadelphia School District are under the poverty line. 3 out of 4 of them can apply for reduced prices on their lunches. And many of them only eat in school because they don't have enough money in their families to put food on the table. It's insane. And there's living here, we don't have much of a grasp of what's going on. It's a completely different reality. So now I'm going to take this whole money thing and put it into a different perspective. Think of these circles as schools, and the entire circle is one big school district. If I am the person who is kind of deciding where the money goes, I'm going to start this school district with giving an equal amount of money to each school. After maybe 2 years, some of these schools are just going to perform better than others because of either geographic reasons or teachers are better. It doesn't matter what those reasons are, but they will perform better. So the school district's going to be like, well, I don't know, these schools are performing a little better. Maybe we should give them a little bit more money as kind of a benefit for doing better. You worked a little bit harder, let's give you a little bit more. The problem is these school districts also don't have enough money. They don't get more money. So what they do is they give more money to the better schools, and then the other schools get less money than they were already getting. So they were performing at a subpar level to these other schools to begin with. Now they're going to be performing at an even more subpar level, and the students are the ones that are going to suffer. And in a couple more years, these 5 schools that are performing better, they're going to go through the exact same thing that the original 10 schools went through. Some of them are going to perform better. And the school district is going to be, well, you know, the top 2, maybe I'll give a little bit of money to them. And the other schools are going to go back down. And after a while, those 3 or 4 schools that were originally on top are going to be right back in with the bottom of the pile. And so it ends up looking like this, which is how a lot of the urban school districts look like right now. If you take Philadelphia, for example, Masterman High School and Central High School, they have a 99% graduation rate. 98% of them are proficient in all of their classes based on the PSSA scores that they have shown. Yet, Philadelphia has a 54% proficiency in some of these classes with a 60% graduation rate. So the averages are very much skewed by these other schools that aren't performing as well. And a lot of the students are being shoved into the schools that aren't getting enough money because they don't have the capability of going to these better schools. So what can we do about this? Well, the thing is, there's no way that we're going to wake up tomorrow and just be like, all right, let's do this one thing, and then in maybe a year, education is going to be fixed. That's not going to happen. And we can't fix this overnight. But what we can do is we can fix this little by little, one step at a time. And it could be very small steps too. How many of you are now done with your standardized test and have a review book sitting on your shelf? Okay. Let's go into a school in Philadelphia. Their library, they have one SAT review book. None of the students have one at their houses for 400 students. One thing you could do is donate that SAT book to a library in Philadelphia. They will certainly benefit from that, from any kind of review like that. Another thing you could do is you could take your time and use it as one-on-one tutoring service. There are many schools in Philadelphia and Coatesville and all of these other places where you can go and actually and tutor these underserved kids. There are online tutoring programs. Khan Academy is now doing something where you can apply to be a tutor using their services, and kids can apply to be tutored, and you're kind of set up automatically with them. And there are just these little tiny small things you can do. Donating school supplies, donating backpacks, anything, because these students, they need help, and what they have right now, nobody is giving it to them. I'm going to have another hypothetical here, my last one. What if we, as Conestoga, were to adopt a school? Not legally, of course, that would just be weird. But let's say we were to hold drives for school supplies and for books and for all of these different things that can help these students, and donate them to one school. And we can have one maybe every month. We can directly see the benefits that we are providing to these students. What if we could provide one-on-one tutoring to these students based on the students at Conestoga to this other school? It would be incredible. And even though we would not necessarily be fixing education all over America, we would be fixing it to each individual person we are helping, which is just as much of a step. And trust me, it feels good when you do that. So why am I saying this? It's not to make you guys feel guilty, because we're all in this position together. We were all given these benefits, and there's no reason why we should throw them away. But what I do think we should do is we should take the benefits that we have and help give them to others who weren't as fortunate as we are. Let's change the future one step at a time. Thank you.